Anybody that has solar today will wish that they had a battery at some point in time. And I've always kind of believed in, that Wayne Gretzky quote of like, you skate to where the puck is heading, not to where the puck is. And to me, it's storage and backup. And so this has been something I've been thinking about for a long time of like, hey, there's all these customers that have solar, but they don't have the battery. And as more and more utilities are moving away from net metering, California did it a few years ago, North Carolina just did it. Virginia is just sunsetted there, South Carolina sunsetted theirs, Georgia, hasn't had it. Indiana, I mean, you go down the list of states that are kind of moving in that direction, while simultaneously the demand for power continuing to increase to where, power during the day is helpful, and that's what solar produces, but where the strong need is power at night. During those on-peak hours, that 4 to 9 p.m. where utilities that are on, time of use plans, charge, 3 to 4 times the amount that they charge during the day. And with, these AI data centers that are going up all over the place and just the electric, like, more and more people switching to electric vehicles and all this stuff, there's a huge demand for storage, and that's going to continue to increase. And you're seeing these VPP incentives and battery incentives that are existing across the country and popping up. And I think the demand for those is going to continue to increase, while simultaneously half of all solar installations across the United States, the company that installed that equipment is no longer in business. And I believe that that's probably going to continue, especially as the tax credits, for homeowner purchased equipment. We all know that those went away, at the beginning of the year, and then the third party owned tax credits that still exist aren't set to last forever until something changes with the legislation. And so I think the number of companies that will survive over the next couple of years of solar, probably isn't going to be a super high number, right? And um, so it's been something that's been on my mind for the last couple of years, and then we stumbled into this company that's been doing it. So they ran an EPC, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Smaller scale. They've been doing primarily cash loan deals, and they towards the middle to end of last year, they started transitioning to like a battery only and servicing type of company. Because that, as I assume most people know, and I don't know who's all on this call, if you're all in the solar industry or what industry you're in, but with if a company installs equipment, it's very hard for another company for a customer to go find another company to come service that equipment. Reason being is no other company wants to touch another company's equipment because then they become liable for that equipment. And so there's not a lot of upside for them, but potentially a lot of downsides because they don't know the work that was done on that house. And so where this company has transitioned is they said, hey, we'll take on that risk. And for these customers that need a battery or want a battery, we'll offer that battery. We're getting very good pricing on these batteries because when the entire industry right now is selling TPO, uh, we're able, which requires safe harbored equipment. There's a that type of equipment is very, very high in demand, and the pricing on that is pretty crazy because so many companies have shifted to PPAs and leases and things like that because that's the only way you can still maintain that tax credit. What's low in demand right now is non-safe harbored equipment. So they're able to get these batteries for really good pricing from SolarEdge and from Tesla and from Enphase and Franklin and pretty much the main players that are out there, to where we can approach customers and say, hey, your installer's out of business. You don't have anybody to go to. You've been kicked off of net metering, or you don't have net metering. So you're upset with the fact that you have a power bill now when you made this investment to not have a power bill or to have a very small one. We can come in, add a battery. If your system's not working, we can get it fixed for you. If and when your inverter goes out, and it's probably not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that inverter goes out, We're here to replace that free of cost for you and basically be what your installer was supposed to be until they went out of business. And so they started doing that, call it 9 months ago, and have been doing really, really well. Smaller company, they have a couple hundred employees or whatnot, but are very profitable, doing very well with that, business plan. Well, the thing that makes them a little bit unique, because anybody could go start a battery only company, but what what's been appealing to our guys is they have a software where they've been able to pin every solar installation in across the United States and have a very, very good idea as to whether that customer's installer is out of business or not. So they have a call center that's set up to where they're calling these customers and basically scheduling, service visits for us to come in and inspect their system and to, basically tee those up for our closers in market to be able to go sell them to sell them a battery and this service plan. And so where we were at, kind of, looking for a new home after freedom and kind of looking around, the industry and just not being super excited uh, about most of the options in the solar space, while also understanding that, Freedom, who's the largest private, like one of the largest solar installers in the United States, with them going out of business, that volume doesn't go away, even though the company does, to where, as that volume scatters across all these different installers, it's like, are they going to be able to keep up with the demand? Like, is there going to be bottlenecks and delays and, some of the funding delays and things like that we had experienced at Freedom? Is like, what's going to happen with the capital markets when a company that size goes out of business? It could be some rough waters for the solar industry for the next, 6 months or so, if not longer, to where we transition over to to this opportunity to where our guys are basically spending all day just running appointments that are already preset with somebody that already has solar, so they already believe in the idea of it. It's just not working the way that they had hoped, either because of a lack of net metering or because something's wrong with their system and they don't have anybody to contact, or just have a general interest in battery backups for things like hurricanes or winter storms, or all the myriad of reasons why you would want a backup battery. And so we went on a blitz and tried it out. And then, without really trying, we, recruited, 20 people to come join us. And then more people started joining. So to where our last month, or our first month in, just doing a couple blitzes, we signed, I think, 125 accounts, and we've installed about 85 of them already. To where these things are moving very, very fast at really high pull through. Like in solar, if you're, and again, I ran, divisions for multiple different companies. I worked at Solar City, I worked at Vivint Solar and Sunrun and Freedom Forever, like the largest installers in the United States. If your company's averaging a 50% pull through from sell to install, they're doing about average, right? If you're above that, you're doing great. If you're below that, need some work. But 50% has always been kind of like the metric that I've used to like kind of gauge performance of like a team or an individual or a region or whatnot. But uh, this last month, we have a 89% pull through rate, meaning we go sign up 10 customers, 9 of them are getting installed, which is, obviously awesome. But two, it's just like our reps are beyond stoked. They're getting these installed in 4 days to a week instead of, 1 month or 2 months or 3 months on the solar side. The deals that they're signing are getting installed and they're getting paid really, really quickly. And they're not out there, hustling on the doors all day, every day, like that they've been used to doing for, years and years and years. And so it's been, everything that I have hoped that it would be, kind of coming over, because you you guys know how it is. Everything sales guys selling sales guys, and sometimes you have to kind of sift through the sales pitch to understand like what how things actually are at a place. But so far, everything's kind of lived up to what we hoped. Like the appointments are there, the the product is easy enough to sell, and the operations have been really dialed in. Where we're kind of like hoping to help this company is that, we've ran large organizations, 1,000 plus reps, to where they've ran a company of 200 reps. And so it's us coming in to implement some of the systems and processes and SOPs and culture and all the things that, we've kind of built out over the last, decade or so of doing this, um, to be able uh, to go help this company grow and scale across the country. So right now they operate in a lot of states, mostly on the East Coast. So like South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Florida. Um, See, I'm going to miss some. Indiana is a great market. Ohio, Georgia, which is where I'm at right now, here in Augusta, Texas. But there's a lot of markets that they are wanting to open, and we're pushing them to open because we have a lot of uh, contacts and reps that want to work there, like California and Connecticut and Massachusetts, who have all three of them have incredible VPP and battery incentives. Utah and like pretty much anywhere in the country uh, right now, but there are markets that are going to be, uh, in my view, quote unquote, easier because they don't have net metering. So that would be like a North Carolina or a South Carolina or a Georgia or an Indiana. But then there's these markets like, uh, like in Ohio, for example, that is a large utility. There is Duke Energy, which is the largest utility in the country. They booted everybody off of net metering in North Carolina. They got appealed to the courts. The court said, hey, we're cool with it. And so that set some precedents for that utility, at least, to go do that in any other utility or any of their other markets across the country. So I think you're going to see more and more homeowners, no longer having net metering, and at some point not even being grandfathered into the net metering that they've had. Um, but there's other markets, where there is net metering, but there's really good battery incentives. Like Connecticut, for example, has incredible battery incentive. Massachusetts has like a phenomenal VPP program where the utility's paying the customer for their excess power to the tune of like $40 to $50 a month. Texas, same situation. California, same situation. And so every market's going to have the things that make it challenging and the things that make it really easy. To where your options, are kind of like, hey, I want to do this in the market that I live in. If we're in that market, great, we can turn it on today. If we're not in that market, then it's the other option would be, hey, go blitz to any of these other markets. We take care of the housing, we take care of the trout, like the flights and the rental cars and all that kind of stuff, to where you can go out and blitz for a week or a week and a half or however long, and just kind of run those appointments and make 10 grand or whatever, and then go back home and continue doing whatever else you've been doing. This isn't something where you kind of have to like leave your job for it. We have a lot of guys that are running these appointments and just knocking doors selling solar in between, to where it's not a one size fits all. It just kind of depends on what you want your that opportunity to look like for you. And if blitzing isn't your thing, but we have a bunch of guys that are wanting to be in a market, then that helps us speed up the process of getting operations flipped on in that market. So like right now we have a ton of guys in California. Um, like I'd probably get a small army of guys in the market that I live in Southern California. So it's like there's an urgency on the operation side to get that market open because we already know we have the sales force there just kind of waiting. So uh, average commission is anywhere from about 2,000 to 5,000. That's paid at install. So there's no 80/20 pay, or there's no, waiting for, PTO or anything like that. And then you just get paid, a Friday or two after that install is complete. But these things are moving very quickly. Our average sell to install timeline across the country or company is about 10 days or sub 10 days. But we've been experiencing about 4 to 5 day installs pretty regularly in the markets that we've been in, like Georgia, Ohio, Texas, Florida, uh, Pennsylvania. That's primarily where we have guys in our direct downline as far as that goes. But yeah, that's pretty much the job and the opportunity in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions you guys have, and we can kind of take it from there.
So
Yeah,
I've
so
talked. Go ahead, Richard.
yeah, so are you guys subbing out your installs? Are you guys installing it? Like, talk about that process a little bit.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Are you guys, are you personally, not you personally, are you guys installing as well? Are you subbing it out? Like, how are you guys managing the installations?
Yeah, so we do the installs. So a battery install is not the same as a solar install. Like for example, if you're doing a self-consumption battery, so it's purely for economics, right? Like for example, in Georgia, right now they don't have net metering. They're on a net billing, which is becoming more and more common. The cut, and I don't mean to like make this too simple. If you guys are like, yeah, we already know how net metering works, but generally speaking, and this is what you're explaining to customers, is like, hey, when you signed up for solar, you had net metering, which means you can't power your house at like solar panels don't work at night, right? But we want to power your house day and night from the solar. So what we do is we produce double the electricity during the day. How it used to work is that excess power that you don't use during the day gets sent into the grid. Your meter spins backwards, the power company's giving you a credit for that power. Then at night, when the sun goes down, you just use the credits you built up during the day. So you put 10 in the bank. When you make a withdrawal, you get 10 back. Well, the way that it works now is that if you go put that 10 in the bank, they're only going to give you a credit for 3 or 4 coming back. So, like in Georgia Power, for example, a customer is when they export into the grid, they're getting 7 cents for that power. But then when the sun goes down, they're in the highest peak, like the on peak time frame, they're buying that power back at 30 cents. So it's like that doesn't make any sense. That's 23-cent difference in the wrong direction. So we come in and we install a battery. The battery does what net metering used to do, where instead of us sending that power into the grid, we put it into a battery instead. And then at night, when the sun goes down, you just use the power you built up during the day. To where now, instead of you buying that power at 30 cents, that that all kind of goes away, and solar does what we thought what you wanted it to do to begin with. And PS, you can switch to this overnight advantage program that the utility offers, and the power, if you did need to buy any, would be in the middle of the night, and that's 2 cents. So you're going from spending 30 cents at the most to 2 cents at the max. It's a big win-win situation. So a self-consumption battery, all that's doing is just pure economics. It's just storing the power to power the house at night. What it doesn't do is back up the house in case of a power outage, to where
Financing sound like.
and to where if we do a self-consumption install, we can install 4 or 5 of those a day. So and you only need 1 or 2 crew members to install that battery. Like a backup battery, like a Tesla Powerwall or a Franklin battery or something like that, those take about half a day to do. But to answer your question, we're installed, like we're not sub-K'ing that out. It's very easy to hire installers in this day and age, especially with Freedom going out of business. So they've been able to scale ops with our growth uh, really easily because you go hire 1 or 2 installers, they're able to knock out 2 to 4 installs a day compared to like needing to go hire on an entire crew uh, to install, one system a day. And so, yeah, it's as of right now, everything is in-house.
Okay, no, that's perfect. So then you made me think of something on the batteries, on the consumption batteries. I remember like California market where it knows when to take from the grid and then when to take from the battery. And is that what these batteries are going to do as well? Like if you're in say Texas, where you can charge your batteries for pennies on the dollar, then run it during the day. Is that how these batteries are working? They
Yep.
okay.
Yep. So it's basically just rate arbitrage, right? It's you buy low, sell high. And so that's what the batteries are designed to do. They also have the feature of being able to provide power in case the power goes out, right? So um, like yeah, so it does that. And then you have what is called VPP, which is a virtual power plant, to where like in Southern California, for example, not far from my house is a nuclear power plant that they shut down. to where all that power is getting imported from out of state, which is crazy high delivery fees, which has caused power rates to go up, to where they just don't have enough power in Southern California. Like my I have solar on my house, obviously, but like the average rate in SDG&E, which is where I live, is like 52 cents. So it's insane. Luckily, it's 70 degrees year round, and most people don't even have an AC. So it's like we don't use a crazy amount of power, but what we use, we pay a lot for, right? And so California needs more power plants, but they're not going to go build more power plants if they're actively shutting down the ones that we have. What they want instead is thousands of small power plants all over the city, which is where solar comes in, right? But if you have a battery attached to that, that battery is holding that power to where you go set up 100,000 systems with a battery. That's the equivalent of, X amount of a power plant. So like Sunrun, for example, installs the equivalent of a nuclear power plant worth of storage every single year, to where in during those peak times, like especially in the summertime where there's such a high demand for power, the utilities buying that power from from the customer at extremely high rates,
Yeah.
to where a customer is averaging about $30 to $40 a month when they're able to take advantage of those VPP options. The dirty secret that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to VPP is if it's a third party owned system, so if it's a lease or a PPA, that company, that Sunrun or that Enfin or that Everbright or that GoodLeap, they own 100% of the rights to that VPP. The customer doesn't get that. Now they can give them some sort of rebate or they can give them some credit, but contractually they own the rights to that VPP, to where when it's owned by the customer, they get those rights. And so if you believe that the demand for power is going to continue to increase, which I think, you know, no serious person doesn't believe that, the value of that VPP is going to go up over time. So like in
Sure.
Texas, for example, we can come in and say, hey, your installer's out of business. Here's a battery. We fix your system. You have that service provider, but also the utility's giving you basically a monthly check for that excess power that you have from your battery that absorbs a lot of the costs that you have to pay either on a loan that you finance the battery through, or just, it's a quicker return on your investment if you paid cash for that system.
Right. So are you guys doing like battery only systems as well?
That's primarily what we're doing, is just battery only, but it's
I
attached to
mean,
solar.
I know we're doing like add-ons and what if they already have solar, but like I know in Texas, it's been a while. I kind of got out of solar for a bit, but there was a trend where they were just installing batteries. We weren't doing solar, just installing batteries and using that arbitrage. It was just the delta was so huge, and I was thinking like to me that seemed like more the way the industry was going was just basically forget the panels, let's just use batteries and take advantage of that arbitrage.
Uh,
So are you guys targeting homeowners that way as well, or are you just going after
no, I
current
mean it's with
homeowners?
solar attached to it. Like we're targeting customers whose solar installer is out of business.
Okay.
Like technically, yeah, we could just install it without solar, but solar is it's the obvious choice with the battery. And solar panels aren't, expensive. Like we'll go into a home that already has solar and just be like, hey, here's the battery. We'll throw on 2 or 3 panels for you just to give you a little extra power. And we'll just throw them on for free. It's no big deal. Or we could, if we were going to go just sell just the battery, we'd probably throw up 6 or 8 panels anyway, just because then they'd have free power to power that battery.
Okay. Oh, so you guys obviously can install panels as well.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you guys selling new systems or are you just doing add-ons?
Uh, so we can do add-ons, but primarily what we're doing is just the battery.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But like if
You
it's
got
a
a
if it's
question?
like if you bumped into like a Sunrun customer, for example, we're not going to touch their equipment. Sunrun owns that,
Right.
but we would do like an add-on that's standalone with a battery for them.
Okay. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
now? And I know that in the past when
I think you got muted.
You're muted, Richard.
oh sorry, am I talking too much? Uh, can you do add-ons on the original NEM ones in California, or that still no?
You can, but that would kick them off of NEM 1 or NEM 2.
Okay, I don't know if they changed it. Like I said, I've been out for about 2 years, so
Yeah, but if you do a battery, like battery only, they maintain their their NEM1 or NEM2. So like I'm on NEM2 at my house,
Okay.
and like I bought the house 2 years ago ish, year and a half ago, and it already had solar on there. But like about 4 or 5 months ago, I bought a battery. One, because I had a power outage and I realized how ironic it was that I didn't have power and I sell batteries and solar for, a living. And so I went and got, the freedom to install a battery, which ironically, the day I got PTO on my battery, the power went out. And so my wife stopped giving me shit about getting the battery. She's like, "Oh, this is actually cool. We have power and none of our neighbors do." But I don't need a battery because I'm on NEM2. I have pretty close to one-to-one net metering, but I didn't lose my net metering by adding the battery. It actually saves me probably an extra $600 a year, just with that arbitrage. So,
Nice. Right on. Cool. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
yep.
Yusuf, you got your hand up, brother. You're muted.
Yes.
There you go.
Hey, how's it going? Just a quick disclaimer. I'm visiting my family. It's my little sister's birthday. So if you hear little kids screaming, just ignore it. I'll try to be quick too. Just wanted to kind of, let you guys know. Just be aware. I just had a couple questions. So I'll try to just get straight into it. I'm in Houston, Texas. So I just kind of wanted to know, do you guys have like an office out here? Are you like installing within 4 to 7 days out here as well? And then a couple other questions I had were, are there M1s? And my last question would be, you were saying install averages from 2 to 5K. Is that is the floor $2,000? Is that the lowest you can price someone, and is 5K the highest, or can you price someone higher?
Yeah, great questions. So to answer your question, yes, we're live in Texas. We have guys that are there right now. I actually just got thrown on a text group with a guy that's got 20 dudes are in Houston. So great market. Yeah, operations, same speed as far as there. Like Texas in general is just fast for solar. But like they're permitting and all that kind of stuff is really, really quick. But so yeah, same 4 to 5 day timeline. Yes, operationally, yes, we have all the leads that are there, so we can turn. If it was like, hey, I want to sell, this week, like we could get it flipped on for you and start running appointments. As far as M1s, there is not, but we get these installed before that M1 would ever pay anyway. If we're getting this installed, like literally, like we're out on a blitz right now, and guys are signing deals, and they'll get installed before they go home, which is not normal in my world for sure. But yeah, even if we paid M1s, we would end up just paying the M2 at the same time because they're going in that fast.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not one that like will prioritize a company just because they're paying M1s faster or paying M1s at all. I mean, if install, that's what matters more than anything, right? Because if it doesn't install, we're getting clawbacks, we're having other issues. So I'm all for that.
Todd, he had asked about the minimum and maximum commission.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, sorry about that. I knew that I was forgetting something. So
Me too.
no, it's a red line model. And so you could sell it at the red line and make $0 if you wanted to, or make $100 or whatever. So like a sell's a sell, right? What the company has done, and I actually appreciate this, is they put a max at $5,000 on the commission, because our industry is a little bit plagued of, the 23-year-old kid signing up the grandma and making, 30 grand on a deal, and then, partying in Miami that next weekend and flashing on Instagram or whatever, right? And so the financiers across the industry, the Sunruns, the GoodLeaps, the Enfins, the Everbrights, the Palmetto, like you name it, they're all getting more and more strict because they're seeing really high default rates and they're seeing a lot of fraud. And so this company has come in and said, hey, we're selling batteries. We're not selling a 25-year contract, to where we don't need to be price gouging people to make a high commission. It would be hard to price it higher than that to be like ethical to some extent, because it's a battery. It's not a subscription type of program like a PPA is. And so, yeah, max commission's 5 grand, is what it is. But like, I appreciate that and I understand it for sure.
Whenever you whenever you're making 5 grand on it, what are you pricing someone at for a battery?
Depends on the battery, right? So we're not selling just the battery itself. We're selling a service package. That service package is probably about $11,000 value. We're insuring the system as well, so it comes with an insurance policy. Like it's, we're replacing the inverter for free, if and when that inverter goes out, which that's 3 to 5 grand, if they can find somebody to even do it for them. The battery is where all the margin is, and so like the red line on a like Solar Edge battery, for example, is 14,500. So if you wanted to go sell that at 18,000, you could, right? For the most part, it's about a bill swap uh, for the customers that don't have net metering. So it's like, hey, it's a $190 payment for the battery and the service warranty and all that, the stuff that kind of goes in there. You have a $200 bill or you have a $170 bill, whatever. It's mostly a bill swap in that situation. But then you're just killing the bill and you're talking about rate increases. So it's like, yeah, it's over the course of 25 years, though, it's going to save you this. Or you have solar already, you already understand why you would want to own your power instead of renting your power. You just have 2/3 of a system because you have the panels and the inverter, you just don't have the battery. Like you're driving a car that has a giant hole in the gas tank and you keep pumping that full of gas, but it's not doing you any good because it's leaking out all the time. We're just going to come fix that for you and put you in a better situation and be there for you, when something goes wrong, which inevitably it will because you have an inverter that typically lasts 10 years on your house and you have solar panels in your house that will last 25, 30 plus. At some point in time, that thing's going to go out and we're going to fix that for you.
Great. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, just a couple more questions. I'm not going to take the floor for too long. I just wanted to know, number one, how many appointments on average are being dispersed daily? And also, I guess this is kind of like a little bit of a side question, but do you guys only install like within, for instance, if I'm in Houston, will you only install in somewhere like CenterPoint's grid where they have like the energy community program and stuff, or could we do it in any grid in
You can do it
Texas?
anywhere. You can do it anywhere. Um, there's just going to be certain utilities that are more favorable than others, right? So like if you're in CenterPoint, for example, there's the ability to tap into VPP. It's a deregulated market out there, so it's like you could switch the customer over to Tesla's REP or Octopus, and they get $30 to $40 a month. Whereas if you're in Austin Energy, they don't have. It's not deregulated. It's just Austin Energy. They don't have that benefit, and so. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of co-ops that are in Texas. Like I actually opened Texas for solar pretty much. Like we were the first people that I know of ever knocking doors in Dallas back in like 2016. Like there was zero solar in Texas when we were out there. So familiar with the market. It's going to be a phenomenal market for sure. The one thing that we do have in Texas right now that's different, and we're hoping to get this launched in every market, is HDM, which is a lease to own offering to where a customer can. I imagine you guys have bumped into these with like Solar Rider, like Participate or Propel or whatever, but like the customer can do a prepaid PPA to where they can still get the tax credits built into the price. So instead of it being a $30,000 solar system or a $15,000 battery or whatever, if it's installed in an energy community or we use domestic content or it's low income, there's adders to those tax credits that end up being like 30 to 40% that the customer that the TPO can get, and they just reduce that price to the customer by that amount. But the caveat with it is that year 6, the customer owns that system outright. So they just have an automatic transfer to that homeowner. So the thing with Texas that's exciting to me, and we're going to have this program in every market at some point in time, but we have it in Texas to where we can sell it for 30% cheaper than anywhere else in the country because we have that lease to own option on top of the VPP. So you can look at it and say, hey, this is $200 to the customer if they were to just take out a loan and do this, but you take off 30%, so that saves them $75 or whatever that is, and then they have VPP, which saves them another $40. So it's like we're selling this for $90 instead of $90 net to a customer instead of 200, to where there's just enough people out there that want a battery, I mean, Texas kind of found that out the hard way a couple of years ago with that crazy storm that they had, and people actually died because they couldn't have power. It's like there's a real emotion that exists around storage in Texas specifically, especially if they're installers out of business. So yeah, I think Texas is going to crush.
Great. Yeah. Sorry, the only last question that I had was how many appointments on average are kind of
Yeah.
dispersed?
So that's just a factor of how many dialers we have. So yesterday, here in Georgia, was our first day of the blitz. There's about 5 guys out here. Each one of them had four to five. And so we can have as many appointments as we want. It's just a factor of how many people do we have on the phones setting those appointments up. But you can set it
Four to
up how,
five daily?
yeah, yeah. So you can set it up how you want though. If you're like, hey, I am only available Monday, Wednesday, Friday between 9 to 5 or whatever, you just plug that calendar in and you'll only get appointments during that window. And so we can kind of manage it however we want, based on what each individual person's needs are. Like if you're like, hey, I only want 2 appointments a day for whatever reason, like we can do that where you're like, hey, I'm down to work 9 to 9, just set me up with appointments, then we can do it that way as well.
Hey, Todd, can I answer that also?
Yeah.
When I went back to after training in Ohio, Cincinnati, I've had first 2 days, 13 appointments each day.
Yeah, and we're sending all of them to Tom to go build
they're
out a
trying to
team.
trying to kill me.
Yep. But Tom's got, a couple of closers that are in that market. And so it's like he's going to be able to route those out to, different
Right.
people and so on. And so, yeah, it's
Right.
some new markets where we haven't really touched, like a Cincinnati. It's really easy for our dialers to set those appointments. So, yeah, it's excited to see how that ends up going as we, kind of get things off the ground out there.
So like on average though, there really is like it could be like a minimum of like 3 appointments that you could expect on a daily basis if you have your schedule open for the availability.
Yeah, the only reason it wouldn't be is just if we don't have enough people on the phones. But like recruiting dialers is the easiest thing. Like we didn't even try, and we have 40 dialers calling just for our division. We pay them $175 per cell, so whether it gets installed or not, and they just can kind of work their own hours, and they just log in, 5 names pop up, they call them, select for more names, they call those, and then we can determine which markets we need them in. So like right now, we shifted a lot of our dialers to Augusta, Georgia, because this is where we have a blitz team. And these guys are here for, a week and all they're doing is working, to where it's like, yeah, let's get these guys 5 or 6 appointments a day, while they're here. And then once we're off blitz, then we'll just have them call in the other markets, just shift their volume over to where, there's more support needed.
Right. Yeah. And Chris, I know you got your hand up. I'm sorry, this is the last question I got, and then I
You're
promise
good, dude.
I'll let you go.
You're good, man.
Yeah. I just remember whenever I had originally spoke with Dale, I don't know if I heard correctly, just wanted to make sure. Did I hear that there was also compensation for travel whenever it comes to going to appointments?
There's compensation if you want to go on a blitz. So like the guys that are here in Georgia with me right now, they're not from here, right? Like they live in Utah and in California and in Texas and whatever. So we all just, we've been using Georgia kind of like as like a training ground before guys go try to open up their their own local markets. So they're out here for the week. So the company paid for their flights, their hotel, like the Airbnb that we're all in, and like their rental car. But what they're not going to pay for is like your gas to go drive to appointments in your hometown.
So Todd, right now, this is a good opportunity because I was going to ask you to talk about the training where you sometimes have some classroom trainings. I know you did in Columbus, Ohio, and Orlando last week. And then in other cases, you guys can go down to Georgia, and that is their training, is to go out and get in the homes with some other people.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few ways that you learn, right? Like you learn one of like, hey, here's how the software works. Like we pull it up and like walk you through how to sign a deal, right? or like a training guide. Like I built out some pretty extensive like guides for literally every market that we're in, to where it's like, hey, here's all the ins and outs of Georgia Power, Duke Energy, Carolinas or whatever. Um, so there's that way. Then you learn by, watching somebody do the job. So you go on a blitz or you go shadow somebody on it to a couple of appointments and you watch them do it. You learn in person by like when I was in Orlando, we sat down in person with guys and just kind of walked them through everything. Or you learn by going out and running appointments and falling on your face a couple of times until you kind of figure out the process. And so it's like all of the above are important. And that's, we're here to get everybody trained and up and off the ground in as many ways as we can to make sure that, whoever comes on board has success.
Chris, do you have a question?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. So it sounds like time to install is pretty quick. Does that mean permitting is not required? And is that going to vary by state?
No, it's required. But part of the reason we can install these fast is we can pull the existing permit and make an addendum to it. And so they go through the process a lot faster. The only times where installs might be slower is if we need utility pre-approval before we can install it, which there's some of those like Greenville, South Carolina's like that. Like there's a number of utilities that operate that way to where we would be bound by like that timeline. But for all the markets we've been in, everything's been really fast.
Okay. If they add panels, is that a different story?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a separate permitting, but the difference with solar, like there's three reasons why you want a job to go in fast, right? Number one is so you can get paid. Number two is time kills deals. Like the more time a customer has to think about it, like the more time that their neighbor comes and sells them against it. And then the third is permit poachers. Like there's a lot of competition out there, but like nobody's really doing what we're doing. So we don't really have competition. These people already have solar. So it's like they're already sold on the idea of it. And like, so the big one is just fast pay. And so but across the board, we've been installing them really fast, but that's why we have such high pull through at the same time as well.
Got it. In terms of project management, what does that look like? And, post sale, what's the responsibility of an account manager?
No, honestly, like most of my job at Freedom was like managing a pipeline and like trying to push jobs through and all that stuff. I have had to do close to zero of that here. Like you only hear from them if something wasn't sold clean, and it's kind of hard not to sell it clean. Like you sign it, they fill out the loan application, they sign the loan application, they sign a contract, they complete the welcome call, and you submit a utility bill. Like you do that, it's like there's nothing else needed. So yeah, like I maybe get one text today from the project manager of just like, hey, we're trying to install this, we can't get a hold of the customer, can you help us out? Or hey, somebody forgot to upload this site survey picture. Can you grab that real quick? Like it's not much at all.
Okay, so should the customer like expect like a text or a call from a project manager pretty soon after signing them up? Okay.
Yep, within like 48 hours, they'll get a phone call and they'll just introduce them and say, hey, this is where we're at with your project. We expect to be ready to install this by X date. And then they'll call and schedule the install with them.
Okay. Are the welcome calls just if they sign a loan? Is that with the lender or is that also with cash?
It's with the company.
Okay.
Yeah,
Top
it's
tier.
just with top tiers. Yeah. I think a couple of the loan providers have like their own welcome call. But it's just for like the welcome call is to protect the sales rep and the company more than it is anybody, to where that customer can't say, hey, I was lied to about XYZ. It's like, well, we have a voice recording of you saying you understood it. And so, yeah, the company does it for that reason.
Got it. Are all these customers, they outright own their system? They've paid off their loan, or could some of them still be on a loan?
Most of the customers that we ran into still have like a loan payment with like a good week or, name the company. But like, yeah, there's a lot of customers that just own their system outright.
Is there an issue modifying an existing system under a loan? Is that like a no-go? No. Okay.
Financer doesn't care. They just They're not involved. They just want to get their money back.
Got it. And who are the lenders? Is it just Sunlight Financial that you guys are working with, or?
Sunlight, we use Service Finance. We're going to have Good Leap here in about 2 weeks. We have Enhancify. We have 2 or 3 other ones. Service Finance is like kind of like our main one that we use. It's the first look. We just have the best fees and lowest interest rate with that particular financer.
Okay. And Todd, what is your title, and do you work directly for Top Tier, or how does that structure work?
Good question. I don't know. I run our division, so like all the guys that we've been recruiting directly, kind of fall, like you want to call it a VP of sales or whatever. I don't. There's that part, and then I have a role that I'm just stepping into with Top Tier in general, just over like sales on a company basis. Still kind of ironing out the details on that, so I don't know what they'll call me, but something in that realm.
Okay, and who is our 1099 with?
With Top Tier.
With Top Tier. Okay. And the customer, when they sign a contract, they're signing it with Top Tier.
Correct.
Okay. And you mentioned insurance. If Top Tier goes out of business, is there some other layer of insurance?
So the insurance is like a policy that we put on the system for the customer's like existing system for roof penetrations and just all the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
If Top Tier goes out of business, Top Tier's out of business, right? Some customers back in that same situation,
Mm-hmm.
other than the fact that we made their system better the first, like while we were here. So customers will ask that. They'll be like, well, what's stopping you guys from going out of business? It's like, well, you never say never, right? But what we're doing is completely different than what other solar companies are doing. We're a service company, not, a traditional like EPC. Like, yes, we install solar for sure, but our business model is the more companies that are going out of business creates more business for us to come service these systems. So it's not that like we operate very profitably, but it's not like anybody could go out of business, right? Like you can't say, oh, we're never going out of business. Like, who knows? But it's just a completely different model. That'd be like, Walmart going out of business versus like, a gas station going out of business. It's just like they're two totally different things.
Yeah. Okay. So if a customer says, well, I'm just worried you guys might go out of business, but I would like a battery. You can just sell the battery. There's a different red line for that.
The service plan would be in there for free. Like,
okay,
it's a part of the package.
Got it. Okay, so they can't cut back on their spend by saying, no, I don't want your service plan. Okay,
No,
got it.
Usually it's the other way around. They're asking us if they can just get the service plan without the battery.
Yeah, I imagine that would come too. And
which we could do, but it's like there's no money on that. Like
right.
But we could do it for sure. But it's like, okay, well, your system's still broken. Like, yes, it's fixed, like it's functioning the way that it is, but you still have 2/3 of a system.
So would you tell a sales rep, just tell the customer you can't do that, or would you still sell that?
It's up to the rep, I guess. Like, I wouldn't, I'm just like, hey, this is how it works. But yeah, the rep can sell it if they want to.
So there is a red line for just the service.
Correct. Yeah, it's like I don't even know what it costs. It's a couple grand probably.
Okay, got it. And then I've done a little bit of browsing online for Top Tier and stuff, and there's some consumer reviews, Reddit, Enphase.com, stuff like that, complaining that they've been receiving text messages saying your company's out of business and that they're getting a text directly from SolarEdge. Can you talk about the inside sales, their talk track, and kind of what the customer is getting initially?
Yeah. So the call script, like, when you come on board, we'll send it to you. It's like it's a script that all of them follow. Now, do some reps say dumb things when they shouldn't? I'm sure it's happening.
Yeah.
But like the actual script that is like, hey, say this, it's been ran through SolarEdge's legal, it's been ran through Enphase's legal and our legal, to where it's it's all by the book. It's basically I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like, It's basically like, hey, we're top tier. We work, directly with SolarEdge and Enphase, who, manufacture the equipment that's on your home. Looks like you haven't had a service visit in some time, but you are, because you're under warranty, you qualify for that, like a free visit or free inspection. We have technicians that are in your in your area this week. Would you be interested in scheduling an appointment? It's free of charge.
Okay.
And then we ask them like, basic questions like, hey, do you remember who installed your equipment? Yes or no. So we're not saying, hey, your installer went out of business. We're just asking them, do you know who installed it? Did you buy the system or did you lease it? Do you know if you have a battery or not? And, most customers in your area have a power bill of around $15 to $30 a month. Are you experiencing higher bills than that? Because that's an indication that something might be wrong with your system.
Got it.
Very, very basic. But yeah, like you make 50,000 phone calls, somebody's going to say something dumb, or somebody decides to just go leave a bad review for whatever reason.
They're the ones that are going to leave the review, the 1 in 100 or whatever.
Yeah, it's probably like somebody that works for some company. We ran into that like 2 weeks ago, where like the guy set up an appointment to I don't know, waste his time and our time, and feel like just got weird about it. But yeah.
Okay. Last question right now. So it sounds like Franklin batteries, Enphase, SolarEdge, and Powerwall 3s.
Yep.
Okay. And what's the red lines for those?
It depends on each battery and whether you do like self-consumption or backup. Like around 15 grand is probably the average.
Okay. Sweet. That's all I had. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, Todd, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you taking over an hour of your time, man. You're working hard out there in Augusta, and it was a pleasure to have you on board here and explain this. I recorded it, so other folks are going to get a chance to see this as well. So thank you very much, and hope we can do it again.
Yeah, happy to hop on anytime, and any follow-up questions, funnel my way. We're happy to answer those. And yeah, if you guys are wanting to hop on board, onboarding is really fast. We just need your basic info like you need for any company you onboard with, but it takes a day or two, and then you guys would be up and off to the races there. So
Thanks, Todd.
all right, you guys have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.